Voice of Vietnam 7315 via WHRI, starting their broadcast in English on the good old Grundig.
This is the Voice of Vietnam, broadcasting from Hanoi, capital of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam.
So that's the Voice of Vietnam 7315, and welcome everybody to this live show. Nice to have you here. And we are live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So this is the Wednesday edition of the Shortwave show. We are on the analog side. So now we have an analog side. And hey, the pirate flag is here. Pirate flag is here. So that's good. So welcome aboard, everybody. And it's nice to have all of you here. So this is the Shortwave radio show. We are live twice a week. Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 0 UTC. Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 20 UTC. And of course, we are here to talk about radio. Tonight, we will talk about the international broadcast bands and talk about the different propagation to expect and what you can hear. So this is where you will find international broadcasters most of the time, and of course we are here to talk about that tonight. We will of course tune around a little bit. I've got the SDR running in front of me on the good old screen, and I've got I actually plugged in my W6 LVP magnetic loop on the Grundig. So the Grundig is actually running on the W6 LVP loop. We'll talk about that a little bit also. We'll talk about, of course, shortwave radio, answer questions. And hope you enjoy the show on this Wednesday night, October 2nd. So we are starting the month of October. This is the month where the schedules change. So this is where we actually have the last month of the schedules for the year. The B schedule season will be starting at the end of this year, October 27th, 28th. So nice to be here, of course, and talk about shortwave radio. I've got a vodka style lemonade, so I got about an ounce and a half of vodka. The rest is kind of a mix of lemonade with lime, lemon, and 7-Up. So cheers, everybody. I wanted to have beer, but the store that I went, the grocery store I went to, didn't have my favorite beer, so I decided not to buy any. Welcome. There's a chat room for those that enjoy the having and chatting with others, and of course it's fun to join in and have everybody here. It's always cool to have the people show up and say hi, and don't hesitate, don't be shy. Some people don't say hi but are watching, but kind of fun to have everybody here. Okay, Bobby Burgess, nice to have you here. CQW from WA5107 SWL in Louisiana. Terry Cook, nice to have you on board. KF7BQ from Montana, USA. HF Zone from Chesapeake, Virginia. WA4333 SWL, nice to have you here. Matambali in Colorado, nice to have you on board. And yes, the pirate flag is back. Rodelva65, nice to have you here from New York City. Prasad Asad-Dekar, nice to have you here from India in very early morning. And nice to have you on board from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Maglone, nice to have you here. Edison Ramos, nice to have you on board, my friend. Joe Sabourin, nice to have you here. And should you be standing for the national anthem? I don't think so. I'm one of those that always thought that, you know, when we start sports games, there shouldn't be any national anthem of any country. Bullfrog89, nice to have you here. KD2CXU from Albany, New York. And yes, going well as he's typing a paper for a psychology class. So I hope you're not doing a paper on what gel psychology is, because that's going to be weird and long. I need my own interval signal. Yes, I do. Sean McClure, nice to have you on board. Randy in Riverside, California, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have you on board too. Matambali 7315 is strong. Skateboarding 118, nice to have you here. D. Raff, nice to have you on board from Kingston, New York. Radioactive, nice to have you on board. Brian Penny, nice to have you on the from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And yes, it's a nice analog side. And this is going to be dedicated to only analog. And the other side is going to be dedicated to everything digital. I think that's going to be the cool thing. And it's fun to have the pirate flag back. I set that up this afternoon, and it's nice to have you here. Kevin Wood, nice to have you here, my friend from Nova Scotia. Northern Dawn, nice to have you on board from England. Shelley Sykes, nice to have you here. Shelley from Pennsylvania. WF7I, nice to have you here, my friend from Virginia. Jean-François Trudel, bonne soirée. Et bienvenue de Saint-Hubert, nice to have you here from the southeast shore of Montreal. Tina Smith, nice to have you on board from Mississippi. All good-looking radios behind me. So, what else do we have? Bobby Burgess, sun just set. The sun set about an hour, 20 minutes ago here. Roughly an hour, 20 minutes is when the sun did set. So we've been in darkness really for an hour and 20 minutes pretty much. Or kind of darkness. I was looking out the window here and I saw a nice, beautiful crescent moon in the southwest, in the southwest. It was really nice to see. HF Zone, nice to have you on board from Virginia. What else do we have? Danny, Shortwave Radio DX, nice to have you here from Yonkers, New York. Jeff Barrett, greetings, nice to have you here, my friend, and nice to have you on board. With Moses, and Paul is sleeping in the living room. 356C2, nice to have you on board from Ashland, Oregon. Nice to have you here. Brent, nice to have you here from Brockville, Ontario, Canada. Jeff Barrett is from Cincinnati, Ohio. Zachary Antle, nice to have you on board. Yeah, someone redecorated. Frank C, nice to have you here. Billy Laptop, nice to have you on board. Mark Ledford from Houston, Texas, nice to have you here. Ian Butler from Ohio, nice to have you here. James Farley, nice to have you on board. Old Bridge, New Jersey, waiting for the MLA 30 to come. You're going to be happy. Kevin Wood has 7315 with S9 plus 10. Patrick Manny, nice to have you on board, my friend. So tonight we are going to talk about the international broadcast bands because a lot of people don't know where international broadcasts are, and they aren't scattered, at random. They are at specific intervals, and each band has its own familiar set of propagation, and some of them are specific to certain regions of the world. So this is going to be kind of nice to check them out and kind of see a little bit more about where all of that is actually happening. And I think it's always nice to see all of this. So I hope that you enjoyed that. And of course, we will probably tune around a little bit, like I said, on the old Grundig Satellite 210, or this one is also branded as Satellite Transistor 6001. This is a 1969 Grundig receiver, so it's as old as me. And I actually plugged the W6LVP loop on that one for tonight, which kind of interesting to see in receiving stations for sure. So it's pretty cool. Danny, Shortwave Radio DX just ordered the MLA 30 loop from California. It should be in a few days. Paid a total of $51. I will test it out and compare with the MFG 1886 loop. That's going to be interesting to see for sure. Bobby Burgess, is it worth $40 for the full version of MultiPSK? Well, Okay, I'll tell you why. Probably yes. It all depends on what you do with your. It all depends what you do with your with the software. The $40 opens up because if you look at MultiPSK, so there's the amateur modes and stuff like that, and there's more professional modes. Most of these professional modes won't work all the time. They work for a certain amount of time and then they stop working if you don't pay for the full version. If you do dabble with that, and if you do dabble with the idea of listening and decoding some of the more advanced professional modes, yes, because you'll have access to all of that, and I think it's a good idea, and I think it's worth it. I would say, in a more general term, why it probably would be worth it. Well, if you enjoy the software, I mean, people take a long time in actually creating the software that we use. And honestly, $40 isn't that much. When a piece of software is sold for, 20, 30, 40 bucks, up to 50 bucks, yeah, I find that reasonable for a piece of software that you use all the time. And, helps out and kind of make sure that, it actually continues its development by buying software that the guy might be continuing the development of the software. Where I have a hard time is when people start selling software like $100 or $150. That I find kind of really kind of not. I can find that expensive a little bit. Radioactive MultiPSK is updated several times a year, if I'm not mistaken. It's updated quite regularly. If I look here at the, let's just look here at MultiPSK here. If I look at it here, it says that the last update was done. Okay, let's just get this in English. So the last update was done in, there's no official dates here, but I believe they do have several versions that are a year that come out that have updates of all sorts. So for example, the last version of MultiPSK and Clock are MultiPSK 4.4, and I'm going to give you an idea. If I look at my MultiPSK on my PC, that was installed, month and a half, 2 months ago. Just going to check out what version it is. Might give me an idea of how, I don't believe I have 4.4. I think I was at 4.30 something when I installed it. So, yeah, 4. So you see here, the one I have here is 4. And this is so small, 4.38, and that was updated early this year. We're at 4.40, so that gives you an idea that it's updated regularly, actually. And I remember that every time I used it, and when I was a little while without checking it out, I would see that they have a new version, actually. So it's updated regularly, actually. But it's a nice piece of software. Let's face it, the interface isn't the best in the world. It's a clunky interface, hard to go through. But if we look at basically just the aspect of how good it is at decoding and what it does, it's pretty good. I just wish the interface would be a little easier to go through. It's a fact that MultiPSK, when you use it all the time, you probably get used to it at some point. But it's a fact that many times I've wanted to decode some signals on MultiPSK. I end up searching for that button for that mode that I'm looking for, and sometimes I spend 5 minutes just searching for where's the mode, where's that mode, and then you see it and you're like, oh, it's there, but you probably went through it 10 times. That's probably the sad thing, for sure. Nathan Valley just heard some ale on 7315. Yeah, it's kind of frequency range that often happens. What else do we have? By the way, for those that were asking, because I got a lot of people asking, you guys will see in the next few days official videos of me switching from the W6LVP and the MLA30 to with same receiver and same signal, to kind of give you guys an idea of what the performance of the MLA30 that is. I gotta say, mind-blowing, and for the price paid, it's an amazing loop antenna. Rob, nice to have you here, my friend. Pretty cool. NCLA Drifter, nice to have you on board, my friend. Pretty cool. If I miss anybody, let me know. Radioactive is listening to San Francisco Radio 11282. Mr. Roman, nice to have you here. Long time, yes. Nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Tech Guy, nice to have you here. So we're going to start examining the international and different, at least, broadcast bands on the shortwave spectrum. And we'll start with range really down the lower part of the spectrum. So the lowest international broadcast band that we have is the 120 meter band. This is 2.3 to 2.495, so 2300 to 2495. It's a tropical regions band, so it's a tropical band. Even though a lot of people call this shortwave, remember that shortwave technically starts at 3 megahertz, so it's kind of a high frequency medium wave band. It is for the tropical regions, and so it isn't one of those bands that you necessarily hear a lot of stuff, depending on where you are. Here in Montreal, I have to say that the last time I heard something of a broadcast there was a long time ago. I'm just going to bring up EIBI Space here because I want to see what's in there. So according to EIBI Space, there are a few stations in there. There's Pyongyang, KCBS, the national broadcaster, seems to be there. There's one from Brazil on 2380, apparently. So there are a few stations using it, but it seems to be a very quiet band on the international broadcast or broadcaster. There used to be Australia there. I remember Australia being there, having a few frequencies, and there were a lot of tropical stations that were actually in that range. So as time goes by, I expect this range to slowly probably disappear, as there's almost nothing left. It's also mixed with utilities, so you guys in Europe, for example, in that band will hear a lot of weather stations from different countries around Europe. But it's one of those frequency ranges that probably isn't used much right now. So the one that I would be tempted to try here, just gonna check something here. So there's apparently a pirate on 6950, but I got nothing here. So James Farley, nice to have you here. So and there's one thing that is also interesting about that band, because although there aren't many stations that are registered, for example on EIBI Space, some people that actually go down to South America, for example, will often hear some of the stations there. There are a lot of very low-powered broadcast stations in South American countries that you don't hear. And actually, if you use an online SDR from South America, often if you go through the tropical bands, you'll notice that there's a lot of stuff in the frequencies there. But the problem is a lot of them are so low powered that they don't make it to North America, or they don't make it very far from the borders of the country they're broadcasting. I've seen a lot of videos. One Oxford Shortwave blog, I believe, is one of them that I've seen a lot of videos where he went to the expeditions in South America and in Brazil and started tuning around that range of 120 meters and also 60 meters. And he starts listening to tons of stations that don't make it up here, which is crazy. But you know, depending where you live, take a peek, take a listen from time to time. You know, you never know what could show up, and if not, you might be rewarded with other types of signals that are in that frequency range. And this is, of course, a range that will be mostly nighttime because of its very low frequency, and it's one of those range that you know, it's been on radio for a long time. I remember having some of my first portables in the 80s and having that band on them and thinking, wow, I never hear anything there. I wonder if there is something there. And of course, back then I didn't have the internet, I didn't have YouTube, I didn't have a guy from Canada doing live shows explaining stuff. So of course you were just out, you know, wondering, is there something to listen to? HF Zone says those South American 5 or roughly 5 kilowatts or less stations are cool DX from Tropical Band. Absolutely. Absolutely. Radioactive as Radio New Zealand, loud on 13840. Let me just see here if I have anything. It's not even making a peep here in the East Coast of Montreal at all. Fishkoff, nice to have you here. Yes, every loop antenna, all loop antennas are directional. So the MLA30 being a loop antenna is very directional. On the shortwave bands, I have tested it. It somewhat has a little bit of directional capability, but it's not on shortwave, especially when stations come from really far away. It doesn't show that much. Where the MLA30 will show its directional side is really in the medium wave band or long wave band. There you will be able to null out stations for sure. Northern Dawn 3413 Volmet. Yeah, 3413 is I believe Shannon Volmet. Here, I hear it here. So 3413 upper sideband. I'm hearing it here. David Green, nice to have you on board. Pointing the MLA30 towards West Africa here in Iowa. Sound signals from across Africa. The past few days have been quite noisy though. Glad you reminded me about solar ham. Yeah, propagation has been a little weird in the past few days. Tonight it seems good though. Tonight I've been receiving a lot of stations that really look like they have a pretty good signal. I was hearing Mali 5995 about an hour and a half ago extremely well. I think it was the best that I've ever heard Mali on 5995 tonight. It was clear, easy to understand. I was listening to their French news and current events of what's happening over there. It was really a lot of fun and reminded me of those good old days when we would listen to stations from Africa coming in, you know, in the late afternoon and early evening here in North America. It was kind of fun. But man, it was really, really strong tonight on 5995. Radioactive, barely hearing tones from CHU on 33330. Let's try it on. Let's try 33330 on this radio. How about it? It does have the mag loop on it. Here it is. Not very strong, but it's there. try it on the SDR with the MLA30. Wow, here it's really clear. Look at that.
Coordinated universal flight. Resume powers. Hockey stick on. 0
So CHU 3330 coming in okay. Coming in okay. Yeah, Kevin Wood, Shannon Volmit on 3413 upper sideband. 3230 strong in Nova Scotia. Danny Shortwave says, I love that old Grande radio. It is a nice radio, absolutely. And it's got my W6LVP loop on it tonight, so it's kind of interesting. I was listening. I was hearing 15 megahertz WWV this afternoon on it really well. It was amazing. So, Danny Cass, nice to have you here. Says, I had no idea that reducer here and other thing. Just want to feel my way around a bit. What a lucky stumble upon. Cool, nice to have you here. Jeff Barrett says, CHU 3330 is a flamethrower in Cincinnati on the Texan PL 880 and long wire. And so, cool. Matam Valley has CHU Canada 10 over S9 in Colorado. So nice to have you here, guys. Second band that we'll talk about is another band that is unique to specifically certain regions. It's another tropical region band, and it's 3.2 to 3.4 megahertz. So 3200 to 3400. You know, when I say these bands, by the way, we can expand, and some of them I will expand more than what they actually say in the official ITU region, because one of the things that happens is a lot of stations are, you know, below or above the official band, and there's a lot of that going on. So I would say 3150 to 3450, you know, just to make sure. And basically that is another tropical band. It is used by several stations. Actually, I don't know if we can hear other stuff, so here's CHU in there. But I don't hear anything here. But I know that there are a few at frequency range. One example that I have, there's a WBCQ that uses 3265 sometimes. Around 0400 UT, I hear Transworld Radio via Swaziland. Stations that are there, there's, if I look at EIBS space, so you will have WWCR, you will have Transworld Radio, like I just said. Papua New Guinea, apparently, is broadcasting there, around 3205. There's 3215, which is also, I believe, WWCR. There's KBS Pyongyang, so North Korea, Transworld Radio Swaziland. There's a few stations from South America that are actually in here. There's also, what else is there? There's apparently some local station in New Zealand on 3261, which could be more like a weather broadcast or something, but anything else here? Indonesia, 3325. You have Radio Republic Indonesia, 3345, your regular. There's Radio Cultural from Brazil on 3365. Another one, Radio Municipal on 3375. So, you know, there are some stations that are here. Most of that is tropical bands. Once again, the further you are, you know, the far, if you're far away from the tropical regions, it gets more difficult to actually get anything. But it's nice to have to tune that band. I hear stuff regularly in here. Thanks to the North American broadcasters like WWCR and WBCQ. Of course, there are some stations there, but you know, there's tropical stuff. I see traces of stations sometimes, and like I said, one of my regular DX on on the 90-meter band, tropical band, is Transworld Radio Swaziland. Northern Dawn, what you hear is not on this band. You hear it actually higher because you guys have a European band that we're going to come to next, which is the next band. Because what you're hearing in KBS in German is on the upper range of 3 megahertz. Here we're on around 3150 to 3450 kilohertz. What you have in KBS is 3985, I believe, or 75 or something like that. That's a different band, and we're going to actually talk about it now for sure also. Steve in Australia, nice to have you here. He says he bought an XH Data D808, great little radio, and he's ordered an ML830 to use with it RSP2. You're going to have a lot of fun with that. I mean, these are great devices. The XH Data, I am in love, still in love with that XH Data D808. It's an amazing portable. James Sparty, can you co-phase two ML830s? I'm not sure. I don't know. It's something that might be interesting to look at for sure. Fastload, nice to have you here. Yeah, nice branding. I wonder who gave me that some Christmas long ago. It's actually Fastload. It's on my W6 LVP loop right now, so I can tune in to the shortwave bands using the W6 LVP loop.
Ok, så resultados en consonancia con la estimación.
Sabe que le da duro a Cuba en...
So this is the 41 meter band. Let's go to the 49 meter band.
John, look at how we're doing, but rather, what is
Lo correcto.
270.
Kind of nice to tune around. So it's on my W6 LVP loop right now, which is really nice. I'm going to keep it on that for a couple of days, I think. A. Keegan, nice to have you on board, XN80Xer. Always nice to have you here. And no problem, Danny Cass, take care. What else do we have? You have an LTL SDR blog for you. Okay. Cool. Oh, checking that out. Jeff, KD5 QDO, nice to have you on board, my friend, and watching from work. So I hope that it's at least giving you a little more enjoyment while you are working hard tonight. And it's always nice to have you here. Okay. Next band. Hey, Joe Sombra US. Nice to have you here from Brazil. HF Zone, any more news on the Superstation WBCQ? They were testing 1 or 2 days last week on 9330, and they haven't come back since. You know, the problem is they have to, because the only frequency they've been using it is 9330. And the big problem they're having is they do have, and they need to actually have that tuned to different frequencies, and that's the problem. They still have that broken, it's kind of a broken part within the antenna itself. So without that working, because apparently what that is that these parts move and help the antenna tune to the frequencies they want to broadcast. So that's the problem, because they need to use other frequencies. Apparently that Egyptian guy that paid $10 million isn't very happy. I wouldn't be if I paid $10 million and not being heard where I need to be heard. So we'll see. Anyways, they did test 1 or 2 days on 9330 last week. We'll see where it goes from here. Mark Grubsack, nice to have you here. K6MAK, nice to have you on board. No, I've not tried the MLA30 on the Grundig. The reason is the W6LVP loop on the Grundig is because I have a tap to the W6LVP loop if I want to by tweaking a little bit on the cabling here. Something that I don't have with the MLA30 right now, but I'm waiting for adapters and all sorts of little things. So eventually I'm gonna try it for sure with the MLA30 on the Grundig. I will try. You know, I was tempted. I hesitated actually today because I almost plugged the loop on the Realistic DX100 and wanted to check out how it performs with the loop on it. But for some reason, I couldn't resist the fact that it looked cool to plug it on the Grundig for tonight. And probably next time I'll have it on the DX100 here. For sure. And I'm waiting for my adapters because I will also try the loops on the portable receivers like the XH Data. It's going to be interesting to see how the XH Data handles this. I've noticed one thing with the MLA30 that I do not see on the W6LVP on the RSP1A. So the RSP1A, so right now my RSP1A, it says overload. It says that the front end is overloading. And I have to actually lower the RF gain to about halfway, 50%. Funny thing is I don't see a difference in the signal levels until I pass that 50%. It's the W6LVP loop does not have that problem. On the W6LVP loop, I can max out the RF gain. It never says overload in the screen. But on the MLA30, when I actually pass that halfway on the RF gain, especially at 9 on the lower frequencies, I get overload. It just says overload on the screen. So it's kind of interesting. It's overloaded by the MLA30, not by the W6LVP. And I have noticed in some cases the MLA30 seems to give me a slightly higher level of signal in the S meter than does the W6LVP. So it's kind of interesting to test that out and check out the differences here. Joe Brown, nice to have you here from Southeast Michigan. My MLA30 loop arrived from China today. The antenna's performance is absolutely spectacular. I can now enjoy my Texan PL680 to the fullest. Cool, I'm happy for you. It is amazing. It is amazing, absolutely. So really nice to have you to hear the people that buy it because of me and say, hey, I'm in love with that loop. It is an amazing loop, I gotta say. Fast load, yeah, I can't. I am so busy with the weekends and I'm actually overworked. Totally. I'm going nuts a little bit right now. And I just have too much to do. Kevin Wood says noise is bad tonight. 93.95 quite strong. Let's try 93.95. I hear it here. 93.95. And here we go. Wow, it's interesting because 93.95 here, almost zero, which is pretty much what happened every night here this week. 77.80 is good. 77.80 is good. Let's try it out here. 77.80. So we'll put myself in a 41 meter band. So look at that. So this is the audio coming out of my RSP1A and MLA30. And this is from my Grundig here with the W6LVP loop.
Position of the board's vice chairman, so I consider this a good starting point for the smaller sports too.
Radio Slovakia via WRMI on 7780.
That no new institution with an arbitrary board was needed, but rather a stronger focus on the evidence and data-based financing mechanisms, people replied.
I don't know if data should be so important. Today in sports you have two rivals who pair in the same way to a race, then one wins and the other one loses. Does it mean that one should get it all and the other nothing? Therefore, in sports policy, we need to find a consensus.
So 7780 WRMI having Radio Slovakia relay. Pretty good. So kind of nice to have that received here. Without the loop, I would not be able to hear it. Just with the telescopic, it would be too noisy. The loop did actually improve the reception on the Grundig totally. Also interesting because it seems to not really overload. I was listening earlier when signals were stronger, and it doesn't seem to really overload on signals on the Grundig, which is also nice. What else do we have? We have Fastlot says I had a bit on less noise and saturation by feeding 6 volts on the MLA30 with a generic power injector. Mine is being fed 5 volts because I'm using the Apple Cube, and I actually have tried it on a battery at 5 volts also. So because I wanted to make sure that the Apple Cube doesn't generate noise in it, and I've had actually there's no difference between powering it off a battery or powering it off of the Cube. So it seems that it's very quiet, but it's mine is powered at 5 volts. With the USB cable that they give with it. Kisha Escape, nice to have you on board. Says probably because the input voltage generally 30 is higher. You have to attenuate the Walbrook loop on some portables because of that. So Keegan says posted a video my reception WWV 5 megahertz on October 1st, 2019. So I'll take for a second, and the radio is a Zenith Transoceanic. Well, that's going to be interesting to go see. I'm going to go check that out. Actually, I have to go and start looking a little more at your videos, guys. Matt, MDK2, if you guys enjoy, was at WWV festivities. He actually has videos of being at WWV in Boulder, Colorado. So if you guys want to check that out, he's got a few videos that are very interesting to look at. Kevin Wood has 7780 S9. Northern Dawn 11940 Spain. You know what? Spain was off the air at 2200. I went to 2200 to listen to English. About an hour before I had checked, they were in Spanish really strong. I came back at 22 and they were off. So didn't get the English language broadcast tonight. Keegan has reception with his Ethon BT, Ethon Grundig Edition Field BT radio. Rodrigo Galter, nice to have you here. 7335's Radio Marti. Yeah, that's what I thought, Fastload. It probably works on 12 volt. That's what I did think about. Simon Templar, nice to have you on board, my friend. Tom Seeger, nice to have you on board. Overload on the RSP1A, are both your loops facing the same direction? Yep, absolutely. Actually, I can't face any other direction because I have, I mean, they are loops. So one of the first things I did try is different directions because I wanted to see, do I need a rotor or not? Do I need to, what is the best direction that I need to actually face? And basically, if I don't face roughly northeast to southwest, the edges of the loop are northeast to southwest. Okay, the loops themselves, if you look at the loop, you know, like in front of you, that is pointing actually southeast to northwest. So if I position it differently, I get crappy signals. And I suspect it's because the way it is now is simply the way that I have the least amount of noise. And that's the way I need to leave it there. So that's pretty much it. Shelly Sykes, remember the Morse code you found last Wednesday and you found out it runs twice a week or something? Can you find it again tonight? Yeah, oh, I forgot about that because I did think about it yesterday. It was at the beginning of the show last week. What was the frequency? 4 Was it 4377? You guys remember the frequency I was tuned to? I remember that. The Morse code signal. I think it was 4377.5. So right now I got nothing. Trying to remember. I think it was 4377. It was at the beginning. It was like at 0 UT. I should have. We should have tuned at the beginning. Seven Templars says, "Cool. Been a while since seen a pirate flag. Yeah, it's nice to have it back. I was actually watching the pirate flag over boxes, and I was like, oh man, I really need to put that up. The problem is that this side here was a big mess. And one of the reasons I didn't do anything about it is because in the summer, I've got the air conditioning right here in the window. And so, you know, I get like wind blasted in my face and everything. So it's like in the summertime, it's not kind of the greatest place in the world to be. Plus, it's a portable air conditioning, so it takes half the space here. So I left it like that all summer until I took out the air conditioning. Now that it's gone, I actually cleaned up and installed it. So this is the analog side, and we have the digital side on the other side of the room, which is going to be more interesting. And it's going to be interesting because it changes the look depending on the shows. So I was thinking that probably what we'll do is Wednesday shows will be here, and the Friday shows will be on the other side. I think that's kind of cool. Dirty Diaper 21, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Nice to, it's been a while. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool. What else do Kish Escape I like miss? So Fast Load, yeah, you're late. You'll be getting in winter, and it's not gonna. On the short, I can tell you one thing is that I did quite a lot of manually turning the antenna while listening to shortwave signals, and I got very little results in higher frequencies with stations that are far away, meaning that whatever. Wherever I was turning it, there was a slight, we could see a slight difference, but it wasn't enough to really be a big problem. Basically, it's in the lower frequencies. So for example, if I tune CHU 3330, a lot of the signal is very close to us, and it's just, you know, near Ottawa. That signal I can actually null out by turning the antenna. The way it is now, it's actually max CHU to the best signal possible. Medium wave, of course, would really be enhanced by having the antenna rotated. If you DX medium wave, you need a rotor, because that will be amazing on medium wave bands for sure. But on the higher frequencies of shortwave, it's not that apparent whether you turn it. I was with my laptop, and what I was doing is I was doing remote desktop, so I could actually tune in to the SDR, and I was manually turning the antenna with my arm to test that out. So I have an interesting idea here. The orange lights are Halloween lights. Yes, they are Halloween lights because Halloween is here. You know, like for example, there's the coffin here that screams. So you know, I got in the spirit of Halloween on yesterday, October 1st. I actually have also a weird tree down there that you guys don't see that actually moves, and it's, anyways, it's Halloween. Jeffrey Kropp, nice to have you on board from New Hampshire. Nice to have you here. FT8 on 5355. 0.5. Yes, I think it's FT 5357. Upper sideband, actually, you should have FT8. So, Fastload says, I have so many sources of noise around me. Rotor needs to be I need rotor installed. Yeah, here it's pretty much what I understand here. What I understand here is there's the way that it's positioned is the best signal to noise ratio basically that I've got, and that's the important thing. So as for the other thing here, because I'm going to show you anyways, so it's kind of a weird tree-like thing that actually moves around, so I'm going to show you guys when it's on. So that's what I got down there. So I wanted to, you guys now know all the Halloween stuff that is part of the decor. God. Yep, pirate flag is perfect. Pirate flag is perfect. Okay, let's move on here to another broadcast band as we continue our check tonight to the different broadcast band of Shortwave. One of the broadcast bands that is European, pretty much. It's mostly used in the Eastern Hemisphere after dark. It's not something for North or South America. It's really mostly Europe that actually uses this band. And it's the 3900 to 4000 kilohertz. 3900 to 4000 kilohertz. It's the 75 meter broadcast band. And it's quite, it's used a lot in Europe. There are quite a few stations that do broadcast in that range. There's quite a few relays of different stations that broadcast. Our friend earlier was talking about KBS being relayed on one of the frequencies there via Germany. And so there's a few little things. So sometimes when I use SDRs that are in Europe, I will often go there and check out these bands. I'm just gonna check something here, guys. Okay, this is a weather fax. I saw something pop up on the SDR. That's a fun thing of an SDR, having things pop up and wondering what that is. So 3200 to 3400, 3900 to 4000, European band. Even though it's low in frequency, it's used pretty much throughout the day because they're trying to get very local broadcasts over there. So this is an interesting band. When propagation is just right, late afternoon here, I sometimes hear stations from Europe that are broadcasting there. So quite a few stations are in there. If we look at EIBI space just quickly, we have, so just to name a few stations there, there's of course, there's even in Asia, KCBS Pyongyang 3920, there's Japan 3925, Radio Nikkei 1, Adventist World Radio is broadcast from on 3925 also. What is there? BBC is using this digital on 3955, KBS World Radio from Warferton 3955. Radio France has a digital DRM broadcast apparently on 3965. What do we have? We have the shortwave relays of the different stations from coming from Germany, Radio Tirana, Radio Belarus, Radio Canada International. What's left that can be listened to is actually broadcast via Germany relay on 3985. So these are a few of the stations. It's the shortwave service that actually has that and broadcasts that. Radio Slovakia is there. So it's kind of interesting to see this. And there's even HCJB that's broadcast from Germany on 3995. So there's a few stations, quite a few stations using this throughout the day. And it's worth it to check that out for sure. What else do we have? Mark, do you trick or treat in Canada? Yes, it's Halloween is a pretty big holiday. Not a holiday, but a pretty big thing here. And depending on the day where it is, we do pretty much a lot of stuff. There's a lot of it depends where you are in the city here. It used to be really big And now it seems to be centered in more specific places. So depending on where you are in the city, there are places that trick-or-treat a lot more than others, of course. So, and of course, don't forget, guys, that at 20 UTC on October 31st, it's a Thursday, we are going to be live chasing pirates for Halloween night, because, you know, Halloween is a big pirate holiday, basically. James Farley, where's my beer? It's actually some vodka-style lemonade that I've got here. And actually, I will need another one soon. Keisha Escape says 3,900, 4,000, very popular in Asia. Really good lately. Here, South Korea and Japan broadcast lately. Cool. What frequency is the Pumpkin Spice Band? David Green. Mark says it's mostly for the kids here. Still fun to see the costumes. Oh yeah, same here. It's mostly for the kids too. But there are little parties here and there, and you know, really big. One that used to be here a long time, for many years, not very far from here, like 10 minutes from here. There was this haunted house thing that was really amazing. Unfortunately, you know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago they stopped doing it, and since then there's nothing anywhere there. So, Joe Sombra Newhouse, 4,000, 4,700, very interesting band, listen at night. Says Navtex, all sorts of things. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there. Actually, I was listening to, I've noticed that at 0 UT every night for the past 3 nights, so it must be every day, there's Mars nets, military auxiliary radio system nets. 4011, 4017, and 4033 on upper sideband, and I've heard a lot of stuff. So pretty cool. Keisha Escape. I'm gonna put a 24-hour pirate shortwave transmitter to 4860. Fast load. Really have to fix the IC 735 I got. I'm close. Gonna recap it. Cool. DJK Solo, nice to have you here, my friend. Pretty cool. Kevin Wood says Halifax used to have a huge street party at Halloween. Burned out after a few years because binge drinking. Yeah, that is more of a problem, of course. 73, Mark Ledford. Steve, has anyone tried the MLA30 on the XH data? Be curious to see if it overloads. Yeah, I'm waiting for my adapters. I ordered adapters on eBay, and I should have all of that in the next couple of weeks, and I'll be able to actually test it out with the adapters. I'm also very curious about that, if it's going to overload or not, and I'll make videos of it for sure. So this is kind of cool. Mark Grovesex says in the 70s had a Mars license and was active. Oh, nice. James Farley, have ever had a PK232? Nope, I've never had one. I came this close to having one in the 90s because I was at a garage sale that, and the guy was a ham, and he had several ham stuff, but it was just, for me, it was kind of just a little too expensive. But I remember looking at that PK232 and thinking, man, that's kind of nice. But you know, these things aren't used much anymore. Well, of course, some people do use them for sure. But I mean, you know what? Today we all do everything with the computers, and you don't even need, you know, with the sound card things, you don't even need to have a you know, dedicated decoder anymore. Anybody can answer this question? I was curious about something. Would a PK232 dedicated decoder decode better than a PC does? I'd be just curious to know if it, you know, was or not. Radioactive, WWCR 4840, listenable in Oregon or Oregon music. Maybe not listenable after all. Oh man. Joe Summer in US, 4111, I think was the strange signal received past 2 days. Huh. Yeah, 5085 WTWW. You have a lot of, you have music in the a lot of music in the evening. It's kind of nice sometimes. You don't know what to listen to. You go to 5085. Radioactive, auto grade PK232 MBX. Yep, I need to get that back in line. You know, of course, if you have one, I would probably use it because it's the thing to use to decode certain modes. But you know, today we do all of that through software. Okay, what other bands is there on the shortwave spectrum for international, for broadcasts? 60-meter tropical band is a popular one, and it is tropical regions mostly, and it is from, I'd say, 4700 all the way up to 5150. It's wider than what they see here. So 4700 to 5150. Lots of stuff in there. I was listening. There's several Brazilians. There's Cuba. There's Voice of America from some Africa relays like Sao Tome, Botswana that use it. There's quite a lot of stuff to check out in here. And of course, there's some US broadcasters use it. So check that out. It's a nice band. It's a nice band for a lot of different types of signals. Most notable here that I get is 4765 Radio Progreso from Cuba, 4875, which is Radio Difusora Roraima from Brazil, 4885, which is Radio, what is that? That's another Brazilian, 4885. 4960 and 4930, I believe Voice of America I often hear there from Africa in around 0405. 5025 is Radio Rebelde Cuba. 5040 Radio Havana Cuba is there. There's WTWW on 5085 and so on. So lots of stuff. There's of course the time signal stations on 5000. So lots of interesting stuff to check out. It's mostly tropical, but it's really, really nice. Rodrigo Galter says, good night listening to Shortwave in Brazil. So remembering that World Allegory program is operating on 9765 from October 27, 2019 on 21 UT. Cool. Kevin Wood says 4765 under the Kodar. Yeah, sometimes there are some Kodar interference from there, for sure. Radioactive says, yeah, the only reason to keep the TNC would be for transmit purposes, just for listening. You're right. It's not needed. Yeah, but even with a computer, you can transmit. The computer software now is done for both receive and transmit purposes. So even the software like FLDG and MultiPSK are both capable of receive and transmit. So, but I wonder if a dedicated PK232 is better at doing that job, just out of curiosity. Matambali 4765 Radio Progreso, speaking of which, S9, but noise on the band is just awful here. 4765, I see it on the waterfall here. Radio Progreso. It's there. And I do hear the Kodar chirping through it. It's not super strong tonight. I hear it stronger than that sometimes. Radio Rebelde Cuba 5025 is pretty good. I wonder if Radio Rebelde will come in on this receiver here. Let's check it out here. We're going to go get Radio Rebelde, if possible, down in the 5 megahertz range. Yeah, it's in the noise, but it's there. Radio Rebelde, 5025. In the noise. Rebelde was there, 5025 on the Grundig. It's better, of course, on the RSP1A with the MLA30. 4840 4840 is WWCR, pretty strong, WWCR 4840 is monster signal here. If we go down to that range with this radio, it should get it really well. At 4840. So this is WWCR 4840.
As it is. I think this is the message for this time, and I'm asking you, Holy Spirit, to anoint me to develop this, to teach this. I'm asking you to help those who are going to listen to this message to better understand than they ever have before the absolute hate.
So this is usually, I never listen to that frequency much. It's WWCR from Nashville on that frequency, Matambali. I don't know why they call it WNQM on HFCC list. Weird. It's really WWCR. That is weird. Rodrigo Galter, 7305, Vatican Radio in Portuguese for Brazil. They should have English. I mean, that signal is usually very good here, 7305 also. David Green, I love plucking signals out of the sideband, nothingless. I was reading about some embassy contingency network who I retest monthly. So I tuned to a frequency listed and they were testing right then. Cool. That's always cool. What shortwave frequency is best for listening to planet Jupiter? The range of frequency for Jupiter is really for about between 20 and 25 megahertz. There's kind of a peak around 22-ish megahertz. It's kind of a really broad band. And when it's up, apparently sometimes, we probably, if you listen to shortwave a lot and listen to that frequency range at night, we probably all heard Jupiter without even knowing it was Jupiter, and hearing, you know, crackles and pops and just thinking it's some kind of interference. I know sometimes it can be or sound like ocean waves if you want. So roughly 20 to 25 megahertz for Jupiter, but centered around 22-ish megahertz. Apparently at some moments it's so strong that it's probably easy to listen to even with a modest equipment, honestly, for sure. The next band we're going to talk about is a very popular band, and it's the 49 meter band, which is 5700 to 6200. So 5700 to 6200 is the 49 meter band of international shortwave. It is one of the most used, the most popular bands for shortwave broadcasting. And basically it is widely used also because of the low solar activity right now. It's mostly late afternoon and evening and night, but it is very, very, very nice. Matambali 4885 is Radio Club do Para. That's what is right now, Radio Club do Para. I hear it a little bit. It's not as strong as usual. I usually have stronger signals on 60 on the 60 meter band here. So 49 meter band, a very popular international broadcast band. Listen to that range. There's a lot of stuff in there. A lot of broadcasters use that band, and it's just overall one of the nice bands to listen to. And as we're going to get into winter and long nights, that 49 meter band will be used by a lot of international broadcasters. Almost every international broadcaster is using the 49 meter band because of its pretty good propagation lately. Radioactive has HF marine safety information on 1415 upper sideband NAVTEX, and there's a lot of different stations using that frequency also from different parts. That's where I was listening to the Iqaluit Nunavut in the northern parts of Canada at around 0330 UT with NAVTEX transmission. One night I was listening to, I think it was Argentina, also on 8415 upper sideband. It's one of the widely used NAVTEX frequencies of different countries. So lots of stuff. 49 meter band. I see here a lot of signals. If we try the 49 meter band on this good old Grande, we are now right there. Let's check it out. That's good.
And those in it that don't even recognize who our adversary is. And they just become a willing camp stool for him to say, María, llena eres de gracia, el Señor es contigo. Bendita tú eres entre...
Claro, impresión. Glenda Lobaina Pérez. Ovidio Martín Castellano de Unpaco.
That's why that Americans do not spend money at hotels, restaurants, and stores.
Distorted radio event in Cuba in 6000.
Entity. The New York Times also noticed that tourist cab is equivalent to Cuban
people, I think.
Channel radio on 6020 from Albania transmitter site. Channel radio. Radio Marti 6030. Pretty much what we hear from this radio. I see more signals on my SDR, but kind of nice to have that. Matambali has 5850, Radio Miami International, yep. 5850 is often one of the good signals here too. It's not super strong tonight, but it's there. With some music, 5850. Hey, Jeff Watterson 69, nice to have you on board. And of course, you guys are watching the live shortwave show, Wednesday edition, where we always have a topic. And today we are talking about international broadcast bands. And hope that you enjoy our show today. And of course, I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. This is where all of this is coming from. Hope you enjoy. Jeff Barrett is getting 4885 in Cincinnati with his ICF 7600. Sync lock is helping. Cool. Bobby Burgess has strong 5850. Pretty good. It's there, but it's not super strong here.
So this is on a different LG. That's the collection that I picked up on the script. So this one.
It's unfortunate there's no audio. 5085 is WTWW, which is pretty good. I think at this time they have ham radio. The Ham Radio Today radio show, but it's there's no audio. 5085 right now. So if you know, lots of stations, of course, on the 49 meter band. It's a major broadcast band around the world. So tune around. There's a lot of stuff to listen to in there. If I look here, I can actually see there's even just showing that propagation isn't that great. 6040 is usually Radio Romania in French, and it's there, but it's not very, very strong. And but it's there. 5085. There's absolutely nothing, or it's very weak on 5085. Chuck BC Davis, 5850, good in the Twin Cities. Cool. Nice to have you here. And Keegan has 5850. That's 5 out of 5 strong. I believe 5850 is actually directed to the west coast of North America, where 7780 is directed to the east coast of North America. So kind of interesting here. Joey D, nice to have you on board. Says noise level is a little loud tonight, Joe. It'll also rain here in New Jersey. Yeah, here we had here it's a cool day, and actually we might have our first frost tonight. It's supposed to go down to +2 Celsius, 34, 35 Fahrenheit. So there's a frost warning for the first time here in Montreal today, which is shows us that we're slowly moving towards winter. Eh? So What else do we have? And international broadcast bands. Well, there's the 41 meter band, and this one is one that that angers a lot of people. So it's now technically, because if you guys remember, in the past, there was stations all the way down to 7100 on the 41 meter band. That is also the 40 meter amateur band. And then they the ITU changed the frequency range. It's 7200, and look, here they say that up to 7450, but look, WRMI is on 7780. So I put it really, really wide. And I will include the lower part. 7100 all the way up to 7800 is 41 meter band for international broadcasts. Now, it is not a band that can be used everywhere and all the time. It depends on where you're located. Some stations are allocated in certain frequencies. It's quite used, and the 7200 to 7300 part is where a lot of ham radio operators are kind of pissed off because they're shared with international broadcasts, and I can understand that. I mean, they could have allocated 7300 and up to the international broadcast and leave the 40 meter band alone. But at least it's still better than it was, because in the 80s there were stations everywhere on the 41 meter band. I remember Radio Moscow on 7100. For that reason, sometimes 7200 to 7300, there's some interference because some hams will just get on the same frequency, just on the frequency to kind of interfere with a international broadcaster. But for the most part, that's an interesting band to listen to. A lot of stations are using that band. So check it out. It's one of those bands that... WTWW is back with music tonight. They just have... The music just came back. 5085. So check it out. Earlier when we started the show, 7315 was listening to Voice of Vietnam via WHRI on the 41 meter band. Let's check out if there's anything here on this radio. There's something here that's weak. That's Radio Marti.
Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh đang bước vào giai đoạn 2, giai đoạn tăng tốc cho việc thành phố trở thành đô thị thông minh. Trong đó AI được xác định.
Entre jóvenes estudiantes de las facultades de Ingeniería Eléctrica y Mecánica de la Universidad Central. Humana de toda forma de...
Actually, this is Vatican Radio 7305. Vatican Radio 7305. In Portuguese to Brazil. That's what Gelson Brunhouse was talking earlier. This is Vietnam via WHRI on 7315. That's Radio Marti from the US on 7335. I think this is...
That happened, and it didn't have anything to do with the Apple Crate, but it had to do with...
This is 7505 WRNO. For those that haven't heard WRNO in a while, WRNO out of Louisiana, 7505.
Do with the Word of God.
Is pretty strong tonight. You guys remember when WRNO was the rock of the world? I remember that. WRNO being the rock of the world in the 80s, and that's where I actually listened to a lot of rock music in the 80s. 7570 with Brother Stare, 7570, pretty strong WRMI with Brother Stare.
Also done during
and we have Glenn Hauser's Roller Radio, 7780 WRMI.
Varies over a given calendar day.
how various measurement techniques for understanding the path variations compare. Objectives are to measure Doppler shifts caused by the effect of space weather on the ionosphere.
I will leave you guys with Glenn Hauser while I go and fill up on my alcohol drink. 7780.
August 1st, 2019 as a control date. Well, this gets rather technical, but you can read the entire thing at the ARRL press release. There's been a lot of press about personnel changes at U.S. AGM. Mike Cooper forwards this VOA News story by Brian Padden on September 19th headline, Trump nominee pledges independence for U.S. government news outlets. His nominee to run the U.S. AGM testified before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, addressing concerns on whether he would seek to impose a political bias on government news agencies such as VOA, which is needed to be objective and balanced. We're talking about Michael Pack, P-A-C-K. He has ties to Steve Bannon causing such concerns. This VOA story itself goes on to recount several of the scandals affecting it and other parts of U.S. AGM. Another story from RealClearPolitics.com, September 19th, is headlined Trump's choice for broadcasting chief on Senate hot seat. It's taken nearly 16 months and 2 senators' retirements for documentary filmmaker Michael Pack to hit the hot seat and answer senators' questions about his plans to lead the nation's taxpayer-funded global broadcasting operation. Another very long story, and thanks to David Cole for sending that one. More recently, dated September 25th, U.S. AGM Board of Governors announces CEO for interim period. U.S. AGM announced that effective October 1st, Grant Turner, currently their Chief Financial Officer, will serve as Chief Executive Officer and Director of U.S. AGM on an interim basis until the President appoints a Senate-confirmed CEO. And Hans-Jörg Biener sent us that one from U.S. AGM Public Affairs. And former Miami Mayor Tomás Regalado resigns as head of Radio and TV Martí, by Nora Gomez Torres in the Miami Herald, dated September 20th. This follows several scandals that have shaken radio and TV Martí. The Office of Cuba Broadcasting has had 3 directors in 3 years, Andre Mendez and Marlene Gonzalez.
And we are back.
Office amid internal disputes. The CEO of U.S. AGM, John Lansing, leaves the agency at the end of September to lead NPR. He is also leading amid another scandal regarding his...
Always nice to listen to World of Radio by Glenn Hauser on WRMI 7780. So that's part of what we were talking about, the 41-meter band. 41-meter band is mostly kind of a mixed bag because you can hear stations throughout the day. Late afternoon and evening and night is often better, but it's often it's a nice band to listen to. Skateboarding 118 says, dang, can't get any of these signals in Vancouver. I live on the 9th floor. Yeah, probably your noise level is too high. I would say that your noise level. And remember that you are 3 hours behind, so you guys are still in sunshine probably, so it changes propagation. Jeff Barrett, it's July 65th in Cincinnati. What else do we have? Just a wire. 101 for a high temperature here today. Wow. Crazy. Here it's, if I look at my temperature, it's plus 7 degrees Celsius right now. Which is what? Something like in the 40s. In the 40s. Skateboarding 118 can barely get anything below 7. And the West Coast has always been a little problem for, you know, a lot of the European signals also that are not making it up to down there, up to the West Coast. James Farley uses his PL880 scan feature to check for maximum usable frequency. That's the way to do it. You know, use the kind of like using the easy tuning mode. It's kind of an idea also. What else do we have? 41 Matamba. I could swear I read something online about 41 meter being phased out. No, it's not. It was modified. Maybe you read an old article, because 41 meter band was a band that was modified over the past years. And so they had removed 7100 to 7200. If they do remove 7200 to 7300, maybe it's going to make ham radio operators happy, but I haven't read anything in that sense lately. Chuck PC Davis got 7505 WRNO. Joey D, Brother Sterazini friends with Alan Wiener. Well, let's just say Alan Wiener did take his defense the other time. Chuck PC Davis is happy. He's getting everything I'm getting. This is cool. This is cool. That's always fun. That's always fun. Keegan has nothing on 7780 skateboarding. Yeah, I think 7780 is really broadcast towards the East Coast, so maybe that's why it's easier here for me. Yeah, Brother Stairpiece, a lot of the bills of Alan Wiener. Yes, Pirate Flag is back, Bro Weaver. Really nice. Joe Sombra Newhouse is 44 Celsius now, but almost 40 Celsius that afternoon. Wow, that's warm. But you're in Brazil, you know, it's kind of tropical region and warmer. So hope everybody's enjoying the live show today, as we are taking a look at the international broadcast bands and tuning around, and you guys are happy because you're hearing the same signals that I do, or some of you at least, so it's kind of fun. The next international broadcast band is the 31 meters band. It's a very, very important international broadcast band. Broadly, I would put this band from 9200 all the way up to 9999 kilohertz. 9200 to 10,000 kilohertz roughly. It has a lot of stations everywhere. It's one of those very versatile bands where in the daytime you can hear some stuff in you know, a certain distance. In the nighttime or in late afternoon, early evening, you'll hear other types of signals that are far away. One of the signals that is really booming in, usually there's a couple of them, but Spain is often one of them. Greece 9420 is often one of them too. Tonight I'm looking right now at the band, and I'm seeing that there's only one station. Almost, there's very, very little here. There's 9580 that has China radio, and I believe it's a relay from Cuba. So that's pretty much what we have, 31 meters right now. Yep. The only thing I'm getting here is China radio, and it's from a Cuban relay. So China radio. I wonder if they're talking a lot about their 70th anniversary of communism in China. So on the SDR, it's a little better.
My name is Ron Gilbert, 25 years old. My dad was a farmer. He didn't have the opportunity to go to school. In 1964, I finished high school.
With some nice propaganda. I'm Lin Ji-yu. My dad was a farmer, never went to school, and was able to do tons of things thanks to China. So anyways, that one is from Cuba on 9580 kilohertz. It's a very nice band to listen to. Unfortunately, in the winter time when the nights are long, with our low solar activity lately, the maximum usable frequency dips below that band in the evening, and it's starting to show. 9395 WRMI has been almost impossible here in the past week or two. It really shows that band is it's not the best in the world once the in the winter time. But you know, it's a really nice band. In the winter, I do like one thing about that 31 meter band is that here, even in mid-afternoon, you often get lots of European signals on 31 meters. So that's a band to listen to for that reason. And of course, in the summertime, it comes alive and it's almost a 24-hour band, which is nice to listen to also. We move on to the 25 meter band, another great band. One of my, I would say close to one of my favorites. 31 meters is, I'm just going to do something, guys, because I think I hear meow. I hear somebody doing meow. I'm not sure, but I hear somebody doing meow. And he's doing meow, but is he coming in? Come on. Come on. Here, Mr. Paul. Come say hello to everybody. How about it? Here we go. Mr. Paul. He is here. And we'll sit down. Hopefully you'll want to say hi to everybody. And this is that time when Mr. Paul. Let's see here. Come on. We have Mr. Paul coming over. So, of course, he doesn't want to come over. But maybe he'll continue talking. He's going to say hey. So, of course, this is one of the nice bands. I would say the 25 meter band is from roughly 11,500 to 12,200. There's a lot of stations using it. It's in some good conditions and good times a 24-hour band. In some other times, especially in the winter. So here's Mr. Paul saying hi to everybody. Look at that. Mr. Paul says hello. So it's one of those bands that in the wintertime dies early in the evening when solar activity isn't very high. But it's one of the bands that you can DX almost all day. And in the summertime, you can DX 24 hours on that band. There's a lot of stuff to listen to. And it's a great, great band to tune around. Lots of signals on 25 meters. It's one of the very, very big bands of shortwave broadcasting. I'd say, 49, 31, and 25 meters are probably the most used international broadcast bands. Maybe the 19 meter band, but a little bit less since the solar activity is kind of lower. But it's very, very nice to. It's a very nice band to listen to. 11,500 to 12,200. So everybody wants to say hello to Mr. Paul. And so you want to drink some vodka stuff? I wonder what he smells. I put a little more vodka on this one, so it kind of smells a little bit. So I don't know. So of course, it's one of those international broadcast bands that's worth tuning around because it is very interesting and it's surprising what you can hear on that frequency range. Typically here, and I don't know if I'm going to check it out right now. One of the stations that comes in so often in, I would say, in the bands would be, something is weird with my SDR. Let me just close SDR Una. I can't control the frequency for some reason. So anyways, 11780, Radio Nacional Amazônia in Brazil is one of the stations that often comes in pretty much all the time in the evenings here. Even in the winter, it's often one of those that I hear so often. So let me just go back down here and here, and here we go. There we go. Interesting. It's as if SDR Uno actually froze somewhat. So 11780, is it coming in right now? It's there. It's there. It's not very strong, but it's there. 11780, Radio Nacional Amazônia, Brazil is coming in. And it's, from what I see in the waterfall, the only signal on the 25 meter band that I'm getting actually. So 11780, kind of nice. Yes, Mr. Paul. He was meowing at the door. Because I closed the door because of echo and noises on the in the other rooms. So, but sometimes I hear him like meow, saying, "Hey, how you dare shut the door? I want to see if I wanna." So Always nice to have everybody here. Okay, so you're listening and watching a Wednesday edition shortwave radio live stream. Hope you enjoy the show. We talk about the international broadcast bands tonight, where stations are, and I want to put a little extra here. Although I do talk about the international broadcast bands where probably 99% of all the stations are, there are always some stations, there's always some broadcaster that will just want to use its own frequency here, and basically will often be using out of band frequencies that they choose. So this is something that is to note. Broadcasters are not always on the international broadcast bands. It's very important to know that. And do you know that, Paul, that they're not always using the international broadcast bands? That's something you need to know as a cat in case you need to use my shortwave receivers. It's very important as a cat to learn that. So of course this is something that is that happens. A lot of countries, most of the countries are the countries that are kind of a little off in their political scale, but you never know when a station can pop up on weird frequencies. Like there's a lot of Asian stations that broadcast propaganda stuff or anti-government broadcasters and stuff like that. Those will be the ones that often are outside of the international broadcast bands because of different reasons, including trying to get away from the mishmash of stations. If you ever listen to SDRs, to software-defined receivers in Asia, you will see that there's a lot of stations when you listen to an SDR in China or any SDRs in that region. It's just crazy. So it's something to note. Yeah, Escape. That's why I put the bands larger than they actually are in general. So it's a lot of there's a lot of broadcasters that are out of band, but you can include them in a larger than what is an advertised band, basically. The next band after that is the 22-meter band. It's an interesting band. This band did not exist pretty much until the 80s. 22-meter band was added because there was overcrowding of the international broadcast bands and expanded. You can say 13,550 to 13,900. There are quite a few international broadcasters that use that band. It's a nice band in the afternoon and early evening, and it's a nice band even in at nighttime in the summer. It's one of my, that's where I actually hear Radio New Zealand 13840 in the summertime. Unfortunately, in the wintertime, it doesn't make it, but that's propagation for you. And basically, it's one of those bands that you have to tune around because you never know what's going to be in there. It's sometimes a little bit interfered because it's kind of a mixed bag. It's a band that's mixed with utility broadcasters. So it's one of the bands to check out for sure. And 22 meters is really, really nice. So 13,550 to 13,800. And it's kind of nice. You can get saved on 11610. Yeah, I believe that one is. Was I hearing anything here? Oops, wrong frequency entered. I'm not sure because I didn't go down to that. So there's a very weak station here, but I think it's WWN, the Catholic shortwave broadcasters there. Keisha Escape says, love 13 megahertz so much. I was listening the past couple of mornings and the propagation was so stable That meter needle was dead still. Joey D says, I just clicked on the band and I'm seeing a lot of waterfall activity in 22. Yeah, depending on where you are, because here 22 meter band is pretty dead at this time of night, at this time of year. If we'd be in the summertime, you know, like in July, I would probably see some signals in there, including 13840. You guys, and those that are on the West Coast probably can get right now Radio New Zealand 13840. But for me, it's really more of a July, August, you know, June, July, part of August reception of Radio New Zealand 13840. But most of the time. Is he getting chubby? He's the same. I actually weighed him today. He's 19 pounds, and he was 19 pounds about 9 months ago. So he hasn't got bigger than he was. He's pretty much a big cat because I feed him too much. The next band is the 19 meters international broadcast band, 15,000 to 15,900. We'll put it really large. Lots of stations use that band. It's mostly a daytime band, but with exception to the rule of being also a band of I'm just gonna have Mr. Paul go outside or go out from here, and just take 2 seconds, guys. And here we go. So 19 meters, 15,000 to 15,900 is mostly a daytime band. Like I say, in the summertime, it will actually have activity until late at night. Even in times of high solar activity, it's often sometimes a 24-hour band. Unfortunately, you know, I remember the good old days of the 80s when the 19 meter band was populated with tons of signals. There's a lot less activity today, but there's still some stuff to listen on that band. 19 meters is used by a big chunk, almost the majority of international broadcasters. So it's time to, you know, check and during the daytime and check out what's happening and what's on the bands. You hear a lot of stuff. Here, what I would listen to in the afternoon, I often get 15400, the BBC from Ascension Islands. I'll get Radio France on 15300. WRMI usually comes in all the time really well on 15770 with their what's the name of that broadcast? The Supreme Master TV stuff. 15610 is one of WWN that comes in. 15580, I often hear Voice of America from Botswana Relay. 15580. 15730, I think, is the frequency for another VOA broadcast. So 19 meters is one to listen to and to tune around regularly, can tell you. Yarabamba, nice to have you here, says 11780 in Nacional Amazona, 40 years in the air. Oh, really? Oh, 4 years. Wow, are they celebrating like 40 years this year? It's kind of cool. They've been there for a long time. Yeah, he is getting his, Kisha Escape is getting his winter fur coat, so he might look bigger also to keep him warm. Bro Weaver, pretty much all day. You know, as the sun rises, just a little bit before sunrise to a little bit after sunset, 19 meters throughout the day has different signals from different parts of the world to tune around. It's one of those bands to always take a listen because you'd be surprised. Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you here, my friend, from Greenfield Park, Quebec. And if you want to ask Mr. Sheldon for a copy of the excellent messenger publication from the Canadian International DX Club, please do so at cidxclub@yahoo.com. And of course, if you never asked for a sample copy before, it's the Canadian International DX Club is a club in Canada, but the bulletin is pretty much for everybody around the world. It has some excellent news and information. You know, if you're new into the shortwave hobby, it's one of those things that can help a lot. It's very inexpensive. If you decide to become a member, $10 a year, $25 for 3 years, and you will get a bulletin, an electronic bulletin every month in your email. And there's a lot of stuff in there, including logs, including information on stations. I have the utility column. Mika Dolmage has the very interesting QSL column. There's a loggings column. There's all sorts of technical news and all sorts of things that have to do with radio. It's very, very nice, and it's one of those little publications that's totally worth it. So if you haven't asked, just send a little email to Sheldon at cidxclub@yahoo.com. Ask for that sample copy, and you will be pleasantly surprised at a very nice little publication here, and totally worth it. So check it out. What else do we have? Jeff Barrett says we also have a Manx named Perry. He has no tail, so he doesn't have the grace that Moses does. That and the fact that he is pretty much a big tub of goo. Not a belly. Not getting fatter, just growing more fur. Oh God. Europe Bumba. In 2017, it got 40 years. Okay, started in 77. So it's 42 years in 2019. Cool. Cool. I've been listening to Radio Nacional Amazona for such a long time. I still remember when you guys had a broadcaster that had programs in North America. What was it? Radio Nacional do Brasil. Radio Bras. That was, I have several QSL cards from that station here. That would broadcast to North America. I don't know if we, I don't know if there's some. I've never checked if there was some YouTube videos on that. Let's check it out here. 80s Shortwave, Radio Nacional. We're gonna check out if there's some kind of video on that. I'd be interested. One of the stations that I kind of missed from the 80s, and it just disappeared. And I believe they had like transmitter problems or something like that. Radio, Bras, Shortwave, 80s. Let's check it out here if anybody has a broadcast from that. Somebody has. Well, apparently there's this guy, official shortwave channel, that has a lot of videos. I mean, yeah, I don't see a lot of stuff in here. There's Radio Brass, Radio. Let's try it with a different. I don't know if anybody Radio Nacional do Brasil. Check that out. Well, there's an interval signal from the 80s, which was, yeah, I remember that. That was the interval signal from the station back. And then they had their ID. And I remember that. I really remember that, I can tell you. So from the 80s. Now it's, now there's still a lot of little different broadcasters from Brazil, though, to listen to. What else do we have? Unpopcom, nice to have you on board from South Central Pennsylvania. Welcome aboard. Sheldon ordered the Analink 30 antenna yesterday, $36.50 US, shipping included. Cool. It's you're gonna be happy. You're gonna have a nice antenna there, for sure. MK, nice to have you here. Shanarvi says October Messenger should be ready next week, so you guys can check that out. Cool. Cool. Nice to have you here. So, Todd, nice to have you on board. First time in the stream from Western South Dakota. Welcome aboard. Hope you enjoyed the stream. We're talking about the different international broadcast bands. We're at the 19-meter band, which is a nice one to listen to. Then you've got 16 meters. We're getting almost done here. 16 meters, 17480 to 17900. Mostly a daytime band. There are some stuff in there, but with the low solar activity in the past years, it's been one of the bands that's been very quiet. But there's still a lot of broadcasters using it. So 17480 to 17900, mostly a daytime band. One that is interesting because it was used at some point is what is called the 15 meters broadcast band, which is 18900 to 19020. I remember a few broadcasters using that band at some point. I believe Don't Broadcasters is using that band in this scheduled season at least. That was a band that was added in the 80s because of overcrowding of the shortwave spectrum. But I'm looking at the EIBI space here, and I ain't seeing anybody. There's Taiwan Sound of Hope 18900, and that's pretty much it. It's one of those frequency ranges that I remember listening to a few stations. I remember listening to Radio Australia when they were on. They actually used for a while 19,000 kilohertz exactly, and I remember listening to Radio Australia there. But almost nobody's using it now. You know, one of the reasons is also the fact that a lot of radios don't have that band. You know, the ones that have little switches for international broadcast bands, they omit that band. It's never been really a popular one, and it's relatively new. 13 meters, 21450 to 21850. There's a few stations that use that band right now, although there's not a lot of stuff that I've heard recently. 21525, I think, is what I heard. That comes out of Okeechobee, Florida, the WRMI transmitter, and it's Radio Africa. They are using 14 to 21 UT on 21525, so maybe I should try that in the next couple of weeks, see if I can hear something. You know, according to EIBI Space, there are quite a few stations using the 13-meter band. Once again, because of solar activity being so low, we don't hear a lot on that frequency range. And the last one that hasn't been used in ages, I believe, 11 meters, 25670 to 26100. I don't remember the last time I've heard a station on that band. This is clearly a daytime band only. This is clearly one that works mostly in high solar activity. Last time I've heard, and I'm talking an international broadcast station, because I mean, I've heard stuff in there, including studio to transmitter links and so on. But I haven't heard a official broadcast from a international broadcaster on 2567 to 261 in a long time. I don't think I've ever heard one while I was living here. I've been living here for it's gonna be 20 years next year that I'm here. I don't believe I've heard a broadcaster there in that 20 years. I have one QSL from that band, Radio RSA, in South Africa. That was on 25790. And that dates back to the 80s. So, you know, and I remember hearing a few stations. I remember hearing France. I remember hearing Deutsche Welle, I believe, at one point. But it's one of the bands that's just unused. And with solar activity being in the bottom part right now, I can tell you. Oh, thanks, Sheldon, for the September 1983 recording of Radio Nacional do Brazil. So that's a nice. I'll be checking that out. Dana F, nice to have you on board from Providence, Rhode Island. Mountain Valley says 16 meters, always a favorite here. When it cooks, it's really something. What's nice about the higher frequencies is the stability of signals. So if you guys notice, there's less, as we move up in frequencies, the stations are, even though there's ups and downs in the propagation, as shortwave is, the ionosphere is always evolving. It's not as bad. Often on the 16 meter band, you'll have stations that are much more stable, fade in very slowly, fade out very slowly, where on 49 meters, they'll fade in and out faster. It's a different thing. And what's nice also is that when 16 meters, 13 meters are working well because of higher solar activity, often using less power still works great on these frequency ranges. Keisha Escape says 17 megahertz is dead in my area, but when I tuned the U23 SDR, CRI was coming through straight from mainland China, really strong at night. Crazy stuff. I've had I've heard regularly some stations on 16 meters in the past month or so. There are some stations there that come in, but it's not the band that I used to know. Brian Very, nice to have you here from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Pretty cool. What else do we have? Radio Africa Network, WWCR on 21 megahertz. No, it's not WWCR, it's WRMI. It comes from OK Chubby. It's 21525. Todd says, I'm a ham, but still into shortwave DXing. Still need to install a basic long wire in the backyard. You know, we were talking about an antenna that is amazing. So if you don't have a lot of noise, of course, installing a long wire is nice. But I'm using one here. It's just amazing. There's a loop antenna, which is the MLA30 mega loop that you can buy on eBay for like 35, 40, 45 US dollars. It's crazy. That antenna is crazy good. And so maybe that could put you back into shortwave listening. It's a small loop, doesn't take a lot of space. It's very nice to add to reception for sure. Keisha Escape says, listen to Brazil Taxis with AM mobiles on 25, 26. Keisha Escape, have a QSL from WWV on 25. Yeah, I got one too. I got one from the first year. That they actually had started rebroadcasting 25 megahertz. So it's kind of nice. Joey D says, I missed the Voice of America broadcast back in the 90s. I could get a clear station on almost every band. Yeah, it's harder. It's a little harder to receive. I get a few frequencies. From Voice of America that actually make it quite well here. 15580 from Botswana is a nice one. A few ones from the 25 meter band, 11900 in French. I get that it's pretty nice. So there's a few frequencies that make it with a decent signal here for Voice of America. Of course, it's not like in the 80s, you know. You guys remember in the 80s, it was everywhere. So it was like Radio Moscow, you know. Guillermo Gomez says, finally buy my SDR this week. Cool. What SDR are you going to buy? Bro Weaver, is that 500 kilowatt WBCQ antenna? Is it fixed band or can it tune all over the shortwave bands? I've never heard. The WBCQ transmitter, this what you call the superstation, is capable of full shortwave broadcasts. Both the transmitter and both the antenna. The problem right now is they have a broken antenna coil, from what I hear, so they can't tune it anywhere else in 9330. It's kind of stuck there, but it is capable of all shortwave broadcast bands. Actually, they have registered with the HFCC frequencies in the 25 meter band, 11 megahertz, 19 meter band, and also 16 meter band, 17 megahertz. Make sure, Guillermo Gomez, that you get it from the official website, the rtlsdr.com place, because there's a lot of cheap Chinese fake RTL-SDR dongles that don't perform as well as the one from the rtlsdr.com website. Make sure you have the real original one. Keisha Spade says, my bad, Joe, it's not WCR but WHRI that also broadcasts on 21. Yeah, I remember WHRI did, absolutely. I don't remember if they still do it. Yeah, 21610, keep that rings a bell. I'll check it out here. 21610. 21610. Yeah, it's not registered right now. On the EIBI space.de website, there's no, but I do remember you are right on that the maybe as we change schedule this winter, they'll come back. I don't know. But right now, what we have from Okeechobee, Florida is Radio Africa 21525. That's probably the only one, or pretty much the easiest one for me that I would get on 13 meters at best. For the rest, there's Saudi Arabia on 21505. I haven't heard that in a long time. Propagation has not been good on that band for me. 21470. BBC still using 21470 from the UAE, from the United Arab Emirates. 1330, 1600, only Saturdays. Kind of interesting to see what's on that band. Radio Japan, KBS World Radio are using it. Another big station here. 21670. Also broadcasting a Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. 21690, Radio France is there. Voice of America, 21695. Interesting. So there are a few stations using, but it's not a crowded band, and it's not the band that I remember. You know, if you guys have been listening, I've been listening to the bands for such a long time. Where you will remember all the stations back in the 80s when you know all these big solar cycles made propagation so good, so good. No problem, Guillermo Gomez. It's just make sure, because I know that there's some people that bought the bad one. WF7I, something weird on 6534.9 upper sideband. 6535 actually, upper sideband. Check it out here. Yeah, that's always what happens, WF7I. I'm hearing something. Isn't that... I'm hearing something right now. It's one of the, okay. It's one of the aeronautical frequencies. According to what I see here, 6535 is one of the broadcasting air traffic controls in what seems to be Africa. Let me just check it out here, 6535. So South Atlantic. So it's South Atlantic Ocean. 6535 could be from Brazil. So it's Brazil, Canary Islands, Cayenne, Dakar. So many Rio de Janeiro and so on. So it's one of the frequencies for South Atlantic air traffic control. SAT-1. This actually is going to make, this would make a very, very nice list for For I'm going to have to do a utility column on this eventually. But so that probably is what you would be listening to on 6535. Guillermo Gomez, yeah, well, if you mean an online SDR, yeah, why not? But you have, just make sure that you tell the stations that if you use an online SDR, that you are what SDR you are using. If you're using your own radio, an RTL SDR, it's a radio. So, there's no reason you can't get QSL cards. Todd says, got an RTL SDR from Amazon a few years ago for Christmas. Keegan says, my dad, W9JEF, contacted WW0WWV on 1831 at 0714 and 3537 at 0741. So cool. I actually received it yesterday. I posted a video. I received it on the 20-meter band yesterday around, what was it, 14 UTC, around there. And I was happy to get the WW0WWV station. And for you guys, remember Matt MDK2 is the YouTube channel. He's got really nice videos visiting WWV for your anniversary. He even had a picture of, on his Facebook page, he had pictures of the cake they actually made of the for the 100th anniversary. Bye, Joe Sabourin. Take care. See you Friday, 20 UTC, of course. Good evening, Mickey Delmage. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Yes, Pirate Flag is back. While we're here, we're at 2 hours and 8 minutes. Remember that if you enjoy what I do, I take a lot of time to do this and be here all the time. Be here twice a week. PayPal.me/shortwave or PayPal donations that you can send to the Yahoo email that you see here. They are really appreciated. It helps me a lot. You can also become a patron at patreon.com/radio and computers. Set it up so that you give a little something every month. It's much appreciated, and your donations help tremendously. Actually, today I got the Patreon donations that were actually coming through, which is nice. I've 11 patrons giving me a little something every month. And of course, some of you are giving me a little something every month from time to time. And it's, like I say, it's much appreciated. It helps pay for the things that I need to buy. I have a more expensive internet connection because of live shows. And it's a great way to help out. So don't hesitate. If you like what I do, why not consider a little something? It's much welcome. So, we went through the international broadcast bands. This is something that is nice because the international broadcast bands are where 99% of all the stations are. Next week we'll have the amateur radio bands that we'll go through. And we all have a band. So I got a question for you guys. What is your favorite international broadcast band? Is there one that you actually are always there because you just love it, because it's, the one that is driving you all the time? If I look at my usage of the shortwave bands, I'd probably say that 25 meters is one that I really, really love. 22 meters isn't bad also. 49 meters at night, of course, is one of the best. The tropical bands are fun to go through, 90 meters and 60 meters. But sometimes we have a particular band we like more than others, depending on what you listen to. Remember, when you listen to international broadcast bands, of course, there's a day-night propagation difference. One of the things about the day-night propagation difference is also that, remember that if it's, let's take, for example, Europe and East Coast of North America. Say that in, you know, it's late afternoon here. Like at this time, for example. Late afternoon, we'll put it at 21 UTC. Remember that 21 UTC is darkness in Europe at this time of year, for the most part. So you might think, well, oh, you know, it's 5 p.m. here. It's still sunny, so you might think, oh, I'll try 19 meter band. Remember that what's important when you listen to a shortwave broadcast band, for receiving stations from a specific area, remember that, you know, is it darkness where you're trying to tune in? Is it darkness here, but maybe it's daytime over there? How much of a dark path is there? How much, you know, is it halfway through? Is 80% of the signal going through daytime, or 80% of the signal maybe go through nighttime? That will actually have an importance in understanding what frequency range you might use to listen to a specific band. So for example, for Europe right now, it's darkness path from East Coast to Europe. Lower frequencies, 49 meter band, for example. But sometimes it's a mixed bag. Sometimes it's, you know, you could have half of the path is still in sunshine. That means it actually puts the maximum usable frequency a little higher. You might be listening to the 31 meter band or even the 25 meter band. And, you know, is it nighttime, daytime? Is it winter, summer? All of that plays into effect. That's what makes the broadcasts in the shortwave listening a very interesting experience, because there's a lot of little technicalities like that that actually help you understand if you'll listen to a station or not. An example is, you know, I always say Radio New Zealand in the nighttime here in the East Coast is a summer thing, because 13840, and even before when they were using 15720, I would get that in July, because pretty much all of the path to New Zealand is in the daytime, and that was propagating, even though here we were in nighttime for a couple of hours. In the winter time, it's all changed. There's a lot more darkness paths, so these higher frequencies don't propagate. Everything changes, so it's kind of interesting to understand and look at all the differences as we go into different seasons and so on. WF7I Homebrew, probably 49 meter band at night is my favorite, and it's a good band, and there's a lot of stuff in there. I've been surprised by very strong signals from HCJB. There's a lot of activity on 6535 upper sideband. I'm hearing a lot of stuff. So let's just try 6050 right now. Yeah, radio HCJB, not very strong tonight. Was very, very strong, I think was 2 days ago. Mexico 6185 also was very, very strong a couple of days ago. Actually, when the solar activity, solar activity, their geomagnetic field had unsettled to minor storm this weekend. It kind of enhanced north-south. Mexico was strong on 6185. HCJB was strong like I've heard in a long time on 6050. The only frequency left from Ecuador. And it really felt like the good old days. They had that Ecuadorian music. It just brought me back to the 80s suddenly. Todd, does anybody track AMDX at all? Yeah, from time to time I like to do that. With the loop antennas, I should try it a little more. Also, I like to use the portables and use this little loop, which is very effective, honestly. This is a very, very interesting and very effective loop. It's a passive loop, no batteries or nothing, but my hair is all. But so it's tunable with here, and basically you just put that next to a portable radio, and it's amazing how it increases the stations that you hear. It's just crazy. Maybe I should play around with that a little bit tonight. I haven't used it in a while. It's a very, very nice. This is a Texan AN200 loop for medium wave. It's medium wave only. But from time to time, I like to tune around. For some reason, tuning medium wave is something I do a lot when I go to bed. I put myself on a medium wave band and start tuning around slowly and seeing what stations or I can hear on the AM dial. Mickey Dalmich is really enjoying the All India Radio Vivid Bharti every morning with coffee. Gotta love Bollywood music. David Green, lately 25 meters and 31 meters during the day. Yeah, cool. What about FM or TV? Here, there's so many FM stations that it's almost impossible to do so, and I haven't really DX TV since it's been gone digital, honestly. But I should check it out for sure. Righty Red, nice to have you here. Yeah, it's been a while. Nice to have you on board, my friend. We are live every... just going to repeat for those that wonder. We are live every Wednesday and every Friday. So we have 2 shows a week. Wednesday is at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's 5 p.m. Pacific, 0 UTC. And the Friday show is at 20 UTC, 4 p.m. Eastern, and 1 p.m. Pacific. So nice to have you on board, Robert Page, and via email. Nice to have you here, my friend. So we are live twice a week now. Circuitous Vibes, nice to have you on board from Tucson, Arizona. For me, so far, I get 6105 NHK World, Radio Japan, the best. Yeah, that's from France. They should have an English broadcast in there. Their signal is so good in North America on 6105. They really should have at least an hour of English in there. It'd be nice to listen to, because it really, really is a good signal. And that comes from France, actually. So take care, Terry Cook. It's nice to have you here. Rob says you and Mr. Paul are both my favorite YouTubers. David Green likes to listen to languages he hasn't heard before. Rob says, I turn my radio on when I go to bed always and fall asleep to the low playing static. Brent says, I like listening to 80 meters at night to hear various hams. It's amazing what can be heard over fairly long distances. It is a nice band to listen to, 80 meters. A lot of chit-chat, but some interesting stuff. It could be very amazing. So talking about... talking of Japan, we're going to tune that 6105 frequency. Let's check it out here on the good old Grande receiver. Look at that. Oops, that's not it. So this is Radio Japan from France.
気を捨てる人もおれば、そうですすりおろして大根おろししちゃって我慢してる人もいる。
正直ね、大根っていうのは本当にマグロとか牛肉みたいに部位が本当にあるってことを分かってほしいですね。皮、そして皮の。
What is very interesting about this broadcast of Radio Japan, I don't know how much power to use, but what is very interesting is, for example, tonight I noticed that Radio Romania wasn't very good. But look at that. Look at that strong broadcast from France for Radio Japan. I mean, that means propagation on 49 meters from Europe to North America is really great. So, you know, it's kind of interesting to see that. I don't know if it's the power to use, this antenna system or what, but man, just crazy. So that's Radio Japan in Japanese from France transmitter site. D-Raf says, I like AM DX between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. If you're patient, you can receive a lot of medium powered stations. Cool. I rarely listen. I usually sleep at that time, but Todd says, I have a few of the older DirecTV 18 dish. Here I could do something with those. Matambali 6105 NHK, outstanding signal here, peaking S20 over S9. Yep. Yeah, konnichiwa. My favorite show on shortwave. Jack H.H. Fenton, nice to have you here. Friend told me about you. M0JSC, V3PS, NG2F. Sounds good. Cool. Welcome aboard, my friend. I hope you'll be regular. We are here on Wednesday, 0 UTC on Wednesday. 20 UTC on Friday. Matambali's NHK 610 is listed at 500 kilowatts. Maybe it's because they're at 500 kilowatts that it's just booming in crazy. I have the impression that a lot of shortwave broadcasters intentionally lower the power output to save money, which is not always a good thing. Mickey Dalmage says Radio Verdad 4055 booming in. Let's check it out here. It's there in the noise, but I hear it better than that sometimes. I usually hear it better than that. It's not that great tonight for me. So Radio Verdad, that is in Guatemala, that has very low power. Radio Verdad is like something like 700 watts or barely a kilowatt or something. WF7I Ombrew 6105 in HK is S9 plus 30 in Virginia. Crazy strong. Absolutely. Plus 40 at times. Jeff Barrett, there are several YouTube videos that have projects that you can use with all DirecTV dishes. Yep. Todd. Shoot, we'll have to check all those videos out later. Shani Kalasi, what email? I usually answer pretty much all the emails, but sometimes I take a little time because I have a lot of emails to go through every day. Jack says, presently monitoring Gander Oceanic on 3476. Let's check it out here, 3476. Upper sideband. 6535 was amazing from the South Atlantic. Not super strong, but it was there. Good signals considering I live in Florida. Cell call decoder doubles the fun. Cool. Keegan at 6105, moderate to weak. WF7I Homebrew 4055 S9 plus 10, but audio seems low. That is often the case of Radio Verdun on 4055, low audio. Because sometimes it has a decent signal here, but the audio isn't strong enough. That is often one of the problems. What else do we have? Let's check it out here. Am I hearing? I'm hearing 2749 Nova Scotia maritime weather in French. 2749 upper sideband. What else do we have? Jack says 6105, very loud in Florida. I missed Art Bell from back in the day. It was a nut bar, but fun to listen to. Yeah, there was some interesting stuff in there. I mean, it's part of radio. I remember listening to that Coast to Coast AM regularly, receiving that when I was tuning the medium wave band. at nighttime while receiving US stations. WF7I, yeah, 2749, right? 2749, quite clear. S9 plus 10. It's pretty good here. It's about S8 on my receiver here. This is the fun thing about the loop antennas. This broadcast, hearing it this clear. I did never had that clear, and with the sloper antenna. 2598 also. What's this one from? 2598. 2749 is Nova Scotia. 2598 is, at this time, 02. According to EIBI Space, it's from Newfoundland, Canada. VOJ. VOJ, Newfoundland, Canada. I'm hearing it pretty well. 2598 upper sideband also. It's pretty good. Both frequencies. 2598 I have a little more difficulty with it, usually. Yeah, obviously, while WF7I, your noise level isn't too bad. What do I think of the ICOM IC706MK2G? I've heard a lot of good things of these receivers. All the variations, all the variants of the IC706, I've heard some really good stuff on it. A lot of good stuff on it. So, is that what you're planning on getting? And let me just check it out here if everything is all right. Okay. So, okay. What else do we have? Let me check out the bands here a little bit. 33, 30, of course. CHU is very weak tonight. Weaker than what I have usually. Something here. 80 meter band has a lot of activity of amateur stations. I could see really a lot of amateur stations. Gander radio, 3485. Gander radio. Let's try all the frequencies just for the fun of it. So let's try, so 13270 is not working. 10051. 6604. The only frequency that works, 3485. Gander radio Volmet, 3485 upper sideband. Righty Red says, do you prefer a loop or the sloper now that you have tried both? I live in a noisy urban area and don't want to go in a wrong direction antenna wise. Well, in a noisy environment, the only way you could go is with a loop, because in a noisy environment, the sloper or a long wire is going to be extremely noisy. I live in a very noisy area here, and this is what I see, is that the sloper is very noisy compared to the loop. The loop has somewhat given me back some of the shortwave listening that I didn't have, and I kind of like that. So for example, even the low frequencies that I just tuned, that would be there, but in the noise with my sloper. So if you are to get a loop, get the MLA30. It's inexpensive, and I'm pretty sure you're going to have some, if it's well placed, you're going to have a great experience. Also, what's nice with the loop, with the MLA30, is it's very small compared to a long wire or a sloper. So It's something to get. You got to get that loop. That's probably in a noisy environment is the only way to go. If you have a chance at listening to shortwave from a noisy place, it's with a loop you'll be able to do it. Jack Fenton says 3485 is the Gander Vomit. Yep, in Newfoundland, Canada. Jeff says, I have been seeing posts on a shortwave Facebook group that I am a member of about DRM broadcasts on shortwave frequencies, particularly the BBC. Is that something that is primarily in Europe? Europe is probably the primary target for a lot of the broadcasts in DRM mode, but it's not the only one. There are a few broadcasts left, I believe, for North America that are on the bands, but it seems to have settled down a lot more towards Europe, honestly, absolutely. But, you know, I don't know. They're still trying to find a way to get that, you know, DRM going, and I don't know. I'm a mixed bag of emotions on that. I find that DRM should have its own frequency ranges because it interferes with everything, honestly. Rob says, I saw a photo of the ICOM IC76 706 MK2G and thought it was really cool, but not sure how much they cost. Yeah, they are expensive. They are expensive. But I've heard a lot of good things from them. I know a lot of hams use it. Keegan 3330 CHU. Matambali 3485 Gander, just audible. Chris KC3MLI, nice to have you here. 3413 Volmet, S3 in Northeast US. So this is 3413 here. Okay, it's in the noise, but it's there. This is Shannon Volmet out of Ireland on 3413. Matambali's got Gander Radio on 5598. That is air traffic control 5598. Let's put it there, see if I can get some stuff here. Danny Shortwave says Luke is the best way to go in urban area with noise. Yep, absolutely. So hey guys, we've been on for 2 hours and 33 minutes. I will say goodbye for tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show on this Wednesday evening. We'll be back Friday at 20 UTC. So hope that you enjoyed the show today. We talked about the international broadcast. Remember, we are here twice a week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 0 UTC. On Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, that's 20 UTC. And hey, hope you enjoyed the show today. Thanks for the donations, for those that did donations. And thanks for being great fans. It's always fun to be here. Stay safe, my friends. And see you Friday at 20 hours Universal Time. Don't forget that we will have a special Halloween show at the end of the month of October 31st at 20 UTC also. So stay safe, my friend. Take care. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight. And see you Friday. Or next Wednesday, depending if you can make it or not. And it's always fun to have all of you on board. Bye-bye, my friend. Stay safe. Love you all.